Good evening. Yeah, another night.
Yep.
In June, windy,
It's a beautiful night.
a little
Though.
nice
overcast.
Storms out to the east.
Yeah.
Clear
Dodged us.
skies to the west.
And,
Well, you know.
just another beautiful evening in Wyoming.
Yep.
And 4 of us here tonight. We have Rich on the end, Colton, Jared over here, and Dean in the middle, which doesn't mean anything.
Dean's our leader.
No. Yes.
He is the wisest man of all.
I don't think so. But anyway, another night of Guns and Glencarins, but we don't have any guns here tonight. We're going to talk about some shells and bullets and stuff like that, just to kind of get off the, well, it's just something that needs to be discussed. So
Yep.
I feel
Yeah.
a lot of science in that right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get started with the prayer. And Father, thank you so much for this wonderful evening in June and a nice little brisk, the chill that you provided for us to keep the school out here. And we just thank you so much for this country that we live in, the freedom that we have, where we can gather together and get into your word and try to apply it, try to understand it, and apply it to our own lives, that we would know more how to live our lives. And just thank you for this word, and I just pray that each of us would, just participate a little bit and with their thoughts, and that's how we learn. And that we could be able to leave here knowing more how to glorify your name. And just thank you for Jesus, thank you for all he has done for us, and we ask this in his name. Amen.
Amen. You know what, Dean? We are in an amazing country.
I thank God that my dad made it into Wyoming after he got married. He got married, and his honeymoon was moving to Wyoming.
Oh man, that's a heck of a honeymoon.
That's a man who knows his priorities.
Right?
And I thank Dad all the time that he made it that far across that Nebraska line, which is only, what is it, mile from us?
It's not very far.
Pretty sure I can see it from here.
He barely made it across that line. Nothing against Nebraska,
Or everything, you know.
but we got into Wyoming.
I mean, clearly they suck. The wind's going that way.
Amen to that.
Custer had
General Custer?
had to do his
Okay.
last stand up there in, is that South Dakota?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had to go through Nebraska to get there.
Well, he probably hated every bit of
Well,
that.
while he was there, he gathered all these troops together, and he says, "Guys, I got some good news and some bad news. Bad news is we're all going to die.
Oh, well.
Good news is we don't have to ride back through Nebraska."
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
I like that. That's awesome.
Anyway, well, we're going to get into Ephesians tonight in chapter 4, and this is a pretty packed chapter, so it may take us a little while to get through that. I think I pretty much have notes from when I've read it before on about every verse
Oh, wow.
through this chapter. So
Do you want me to read 3 or do you want me to read just 1?
let's just read. Yeah, let's read 3 at a time if we can figure out how to do that. And
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can figure that out. I, therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you to walk worthy of the calling with which you were called, with all lowliness and gentleness, with long-suffering, bearing with one another in love, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in bond of peace.
There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called in hope of your calling. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all, and through all, and in you all.
So stop. So right here where it says the prisoner of the Lord, right? Mm-hmm. So a commenter, actually, I think it's your brother-in-law, right?
oh yeah, maybe David Smith.
Yeah, it was him. Yep.
Yeah.
He said that back in this time, that the prisoner of the Lord, when John was talking about this, that it was because he was in prison, right?
Mhm.
But he was still involved with the Lord and still teaching the Lord, even though he was in prison.
A lot of his teachings, I think, come from prison. A
Yeah.
lot of his writings, I think, were done in prison.
So let's stop and think about that. And if we were, let's take ourselves back to that point in time. If we were in prison, would we be thinking about teaching the Lord then?
I mean, it's hard to say. I've never been to prison, but I would bet you have a lot of time to think.
Right?
For sure.
And I would like to think
That you would be.
that I'd try and go for God.
Yeah.
I am an eternal optimist, even when I'm in a crappy situation. I know that through proof.
Yeah.
So I'd like to think I would at least try. Now, how much I would share it, that's probably where I have a word of caution. But pro or con.
Yeah.
But
I actually should
probably
have printed,
try.
I should have printed off what David said because it was a very,
You know-
it was a paragraph of,
You know, he married me. David did. He married my wife and I.
Oh,
That's
okay.
his sister.
I got you, because that's,
glad the words cleared up there at the end. It was a little muddy in the beginning.
yeah, I was like, huh, he married you, huh?
Was that a West Virginia or?
That was totally Arkansas, bro.
But anyway,
Yeah.
when he comes out here and visits, he wants to be part of this
I
podcast.
told him he is more than welcome. I don't think any one of us would shut him down for being on the podcast.
Especially when you pay $500 a person just to be here. So
Right,
like,
absolutely.
you're all welcome.
Puts into the whiskey fund.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, no, getting back to that, though, that verse, you know, my note says when we really understand how much God did for us, then we naturally want to serve and obey out of gratitude. So you would do that in prison.
Yes. You certainly should, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, Jared. I just had to stop right there when it said the prison.
What's this here, if you don't mind me?
On
intruding
verse
here?
2, what's
Yeah.
it say? With all lowliness, gentleness, with long suffering, bearing with one another in love, walk in lowliness and gentleness, with no desire to walk in our own selfish agenda. Long suffering and bearing with one another in love. We need this.
Well, think about that.
It's kind of like keeping your head up and keeping your eye on the big
Yep.
picture through the whole focus. You know,
Don't-
not getting lost in the moment.
Don't shrink down to that level. Don't shrink down to selfishness,
Yeah.
right? Don't play the devil's game.
It's also a bit of a battle against depression too.
Oh, that.
You know what I mean?
That's a good way
So
to look at it. Yeah.
when you're kind of stuck inside and introspective and introverted and all the intros into whatever's going on inside,
right.
and you get stuck in there, you don't have your head up, you're not walking forward, you're not keeping your mind on God, you're not keeping the eye on the big picture.
That's
So
true. That's a good point.
whenever they give a reference like walking and going, I think of like doing something, creating an action, you know, building progress, working towards success or whatever. So
I like
in
that.
this one, it's nice because it talks about walking and keeping your head open and up and
Yeah.
outward and forward and positive and in the right place, you know.
What about instead of keeping your head up and your eyes open, what about keeping your heart open?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you could run it
Like-
the same way.
Because honestly, like, we could be with God in our head, but
Mm-hmm.
if He's not in our
Well,
heart,
it's the
Yeah.
heart. It's your heart, not the pumping, the blood pumping
Well,
heart that we have. The
yeah,
heart
yeah.
is where your decisions and your, you know, that's where everything comes from. Is the,
Right,
is the real
this-
heart.
the same heart that wants you to protect your family, right? Like,
Yeah.
I would give anything for my family, right?
It's the core.
So you're wanting that love, that same love towards Jesus. That's what you're wanting. So yeah. Sorry.
And
Tangent.
then verse 3 there talks about unity, you know, and a lot of this talks about unity. And and that's what we need to have is unity
Right.
among everything. You know, when we talk about baptisms down here, it was one baptism. That wasn't just for the Jews. It wasn't just for the Gentiles. It was for everybody. Everybody could be baptized
Okay.
Okay.
to one God.
7 starts out, and mine's going to read a little bit different, but that's okay.
That's
But unto every one of us is given grace according to the measure of the gift of Christ. Wherefore he saith, He, when he ascended up on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts unto men. Now that he ascended, what is it but that he also descended first into the lower parts of the earth?
He also first descended into the lower parts of the earth. What's the lower parts of the earth?
Hell.
Is that
We're talking lower
you,
class?
So you're thinking that's, well, you know, there was that scripture where he talks about going into Hades. Where he actually went in there and talked to
Yeah.
Oh,
So wouldn't the lower parts of the earth be hell?
would it be hell?
I would assume so. Is that just my assumptions? What's everybody else think?
I thought no one
It
gets
seems
out
like it's
of hell.
inferred that.
Right? Maybe I'm wrong, Dean. What do you think?
Well, I mean, that's kind of what a lot of people that have studied that, you know, some of their commentary was that it was, you know, going into the depths of hell,
Yeah.
into the Hades. Anyway, it's pretty cool that
Yeah.
he descended,
Mm-hmm.
that God himself came to this earth. Reading in verse 10, he who descended is also the one who ascended far above all the heavens, that he might fill all things. And he himself gave some to his apostles, some to prophets, some evangelists, some pastors and teachers, for the equipping of the saints, for the work of ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ. There's a lot in that, right? That's Christ himself.
Yep.
Gave some to the apostles and some to the prophets. That's Jesus doing that.
Yeah.
To some evangelists, the people that teach his word. To some pastors and teachers, those who take care of the flock.
Mm-hmm.
For the equipping of the saints, to give them what they need, the tools, for the work of ministry, for the edifying, to lift them up, encourage them to keep teaching, you know, about the body of Christ.
Yep. 13, right?
Mm-hmm.
Till we all come to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to perfect a man to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ, that we should no longer be children, tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine. I'm going to stop right there. So that, when it says, let me go back to it here, that we should no longer be children, tossed to and fro and carried from about with every wind of doctrine. So what does that mean to you when I say that?
That we should be not tossed to and fro, that we should grow in Jesus.
So,
And when you grow in Jesus, then you're gonna have his doctrine within you so much
right.
that the cunningness of Satan and his trickeries, you'll be able to see them. You'll be able to know them.
So what?
You'll be able to withstand them.
Right. What I got when I read tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine means every other religion.
Mm-hmm.
So do not go from religion to religion.
But but it follows right there by the trickery of men.
Right. I just didn't get to that part. Yeah. But I mean that's what that means, right? Like don't go down a paganism path.
Right.
But unless you know what that means when it says that, are you understanding that fully?
That's why he's equipping you. He's
Right.
equipping the saints so that you would know and you would see that trickery.
Good. Okay.
And it's almost, it almost seems like the children in this reference is folks are left to meander
Correct.
by their own accord, right?
Yep.
And this is to give them direction so they can focus on one single path.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they're wandering because they're lost, because they don't have a direction. So it's
Right.
they're offered a direction and not a distraction, and that direction is Christ.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's a good way to explain it.
when you're not, I had some buddies that they weren't raised like me. They weren't
Yeah.
taught the Bible. They weren't given the opportunity to know God. They weren't told the stories of Christ and things like that. And they just tried this church, tried that church, and Vikings are cool on TV. Let's learn about Vikings and wander that way and that religion and Norse stuff, and
Yep.
they would just kind of jump around. Which
Yep.
the education is great. I certainly not against that, but that's what I think of when I see this. It's that meandering of people's mind and hearts as they kind of wander through life without a
I
set
myself
direction.
have done that.
Yeah, and I don't think that that's bad, because when you seek knowledge, you wander. But for me, I always know back where I'm going home.
Right, exactly.
And I think when you wander and don't have a home, that anchor, that foundation, doesn't give you. If you don't have that, you don't have that peace to come back to.
Yeah.
So this is kind of, as they wander or they're distracted or deceived, to use this word, that they don't have that path to stay on and build and grow and live in.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Wind of doctrine by the trickery of men and the cunning craftiness of deceitful plotting, but speaking the truth in love may grow up in all things into him who is the head of Christ. That said it right there, didn't it?
But speaking, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the truth in love. We talked
Right.
about that the other day.
We did, yeah. So let me branch off this real quick. How many of us actually sent text messages to people
I
that we
did.
don't normally do?
I sent a text
said,
message
"I love
to
you."
several of them, and,
Yeah.
and I send them out quite a bit,
Yeah.
actually.
But how fun was it, right? To have that, like, it wasn't the fact that you couldn't do it, right? It
Right.
was the fact of, do I really need to, before that challenge was set out, like, do I really need to do this?
Yeah.
You should.
Well, for me, it was more of the stretching out a little further to the one person I was like,
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's a bunch of folks that I'll say, I
Yeah.
love you to. And then there's like that edge of your friend
yeah.
group. You know what I mean? You're like, do I push it? Like how far,
Did it work out?
Worked perfect. Yeah. Worked perfect.
Even
So,
better.
Yep.
But that shouldn't be something we stop doing.
No.
Nah.
No, it should
To
not
continue
be.
to do
Yeah.
that. Mitch. So I've been sending a prayer out to all you guys.
Yeah, I like that.
And
yeah.
so I just did that once. I don't know why I did it. There was something in there that I think was stemmed back when I was reading verses. Stemmed back to maybe our last podcast or something like
yeah.
that. And so I thought, hey, that'd be cool just to send a prayer out about that to you guys. And then I seen Mitch, and he's like, that is so cool and so helpful to me
Yeah.
when you send a prayer out, or a verse, and then a prayer about it, And so I thought, well, I'll just continue to do that.
Yeah.
So,
That's great.
I like it.
So-
I don't know if anybody else does, but I
Yeah.
do.
It encourages me to get up in the morning. I've got another guy that I when we started doing that men's dinner,
Yeah.
we got together with a bunch of men. There was 15 men that got together, and they said, you know what, we need to send out invites to this dinner, and we each need to pick a prayer buddy, a prayer partner, and we need to pray about this every day. And so my prayer partner, a guy by the name of David Klingensmith, love that guy. He says, Dean, I want to be your prayer partner. Well, he lives clear out in the sticks. And he doesn't have service, so I can't call him and we do a prayer, all the time.
Yeah.
So we text
Oh, yeah.
prayers, and that's how that started,
Yeah.
was
Oh.
texting a prayer with him. Well, just because we prayed texting-wise for the men's dinner, when the men's dinner was over, we have continued to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And I look forward to that. And he always tries to send me a prayer around 6 o'clock, so I'm always trying to beat him to the punch. Don't always do it.
Just want to throw one thing out there, guys. Sorry about the wind noise. If you hear anything, we are outside. It is always windy in Wyoming. Why they named Chicago the Windy City, I have no idea.
I have that idea. I have the answer for that.
You do?
Yeah.
They wanted more attention.
It wasn't because of wind.
No.
They wanted to distract you from all the murders.
No.
Chirac.
It was a fire, right? Something about fire.
I think it was a.
You said you had the answer. Don't be thinking.
It was a
Alleged.
no, maybe I might be thinking of something else. I probably shouldn't have said that.
Oh.
I'm thinking of a different quote that came from Chicago.
Okay.
But, anyway.
Taking in a car won't go. That's how you spell Chicago.
But anyway, David
Yeah.
and I still pray, do that text praying every
that's
morning.
awesome.
And I've got a couple other guys I do it with also, and I'm like, I don't have a problem doing it with this group.
Yeah,
So hope you guys enjoy that.
I do.
Fun.
I like it because I like the text because I can reread it.
Yeah.
I'm a
Throughout the day.
rereader, overanalyze
Yeah.
all the words. You know?
Yep.
But anyway, but back to verse 15 there, speaking of the truth and love, may grow up in all things into him who is the head, Christ. And, so that just kind of ties unity together with everybody, which is what a church body should be.
Yeah. Yep.
Ready? Number 16.
Yep. Number 16.
From whom the whole body, joined and knit together by what every joint supplies, according to the effective working by which every part does its share. Because growth of the body for the edifying.
Yep.
Yeah. So that verse kind of ties in.
Yeah.
15 and 16 kind of really should tie together there a little bit. About the whole body joined. That's where the unity comes in.
Of
Every
itself
part
in love.
shares.
Yeah.
And now we get into the new man. We're starting a new little thing here, and in verse 17 starts the new man.
This I say, therefore, and testify in the Lord, that you should no longer walk as the rest of the Gentiles walk, in the
Futility.
futility
Yep.
of their mind, having their understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them, because of the blindness of their heart.
You guys know what futility means?
It's like a wasteful endeavor.
I was going to say,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I never went to college.
After something that has no meaning at
Yeah.
all.
Yep. A futile effort.
Yeah.
Did
And the
you know?
blindness of
I
their
didn't know.
heart. We're back
Heard
into
the
that.
word a few times.
Yeah. The blindness of their heart is nothing more than just a hardened heart.
Okay. 19. Who being past feeling have given themselves over unto lasciviousness, to work all uncleanness with greediness. But ye have not so learned Christ, if so be that ye have heard him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Jesus.
That you put off concerning your former conduct, the old man, which grows corrupt according to the deceitful lusts, and be renewed by the spirit of your mind. You and Rich talked about that. The deceitful mind, the
Yeah.
lust, the looking at women or other
Right.
things
Oh,
that
yeah.
appease you and
Yep.
appetize you, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the new man, which was created according to God in true righteousness and holiness.
Therefore, putting away lying, let each one of you speak truth with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. Be angry and do not sin, and do not let the sun go down on your wrath, nor give place to the devil. Let him who stole steal no longer, but rather let him labor, working with his hands what is good, that he may have something to give him who has need. Sorry, my contact started watering up.
Yeah, starting there. If we look at 26 and 27, be angry and do not sin. How tough is that? Do
But
not
yet
let the sun go down on your wrath, nor give place to the devil. So if we hang on to that, anger, then we're doing the devil's work.
So let's go back to Bible study night, right? Mm-hmm. You are the son of your father, the devil. Remember that verse?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right. So I'm going to
talking
tie that directly into here.
Uh-huh.
Because here it says, do not, nor give place to the devil. Do not be angry. But yet, all of us do get angry, but we cannot let that take over. We cannot let the devil win in that situation. Because let's face it, like the devil's playground is anger, sexual stimulation, jealousy is massive.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't even like selfishness.
That's probably the biggest one of the
That
biggest.
is the biggest one.
Just selfishness.
So I've seen that let not the sun go down upon your wrath in people's homes, and
Oh,
as
you ever
awkward
had a
as
fight
this will
with your
sound,
wife?
it'll be bedrooms. Like they'll keep
Oh,
that
boy,
quote
yeah.
above their bed and stuff. Because probably where you're going with it is don't go to sleep mad at your missus.
Yep,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
And
How many
like
times have you done that?
when I
be
married
honest, I
Stacy
can't.
16 years ago, that was one of the things I told her. Is I said my sole goal is communication and to never go to bed mad with you.
Yep.
You can be mad at me if you want.
Yeah.
I wish you wouldn't, but I'm not going to go to bed mad at you. I'll tell you I love you before I go to sleep.
Boy,
Even when it's
well,
hard.
That's one thing that I can be honest and tell you that I cannot go to bed until after if I'm angry, you're going to hear me out.
Yeah.
But I promise you, we will be, I love you, good night. Or, a kiss, whatever the case it is
Yep.
to show love.
Yeah.
But I will not go to bed angry because there's this thing in my mind where I can't sleep if
Yeah.
I'm angry.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yep.
tough. It's
It
really
is
tough to get
yes.
to sleep.
Yep. So
you're
then
angry.
you're sitting there and you're constantly thinking about it, and eventually you're like, hey, you need to wake up. We got to talk about this.
Because it just festers, right? Like you give
It
a place
does,
to the
yeah.
devil. So
Yep.
what's the devil doing? Building his army in
Oh,
your
yeah.
head. So
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah. So this whole thing is kind of like a, let's see, be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Neither give place to the devil. It's like short version is get over it,
Pretty much, yeah.
right? Like don't get mad and screw this up. Like just get over it, get past it.
I want to say a really simple thing. Deal with your BS.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's usually my fault.
Well, it's one of our faults, yeah.
And then I'm just, a man. And
Oh, for sure.
just
Because we can hold
won't
grudges.
admit that I'm
Yeah.
wrong. And
If you say something wrong during the day, we're going to remember it, right? Like, we think that women are the ones that are like, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to, and she's going to get mad at me. But yet, in all reality, we are the ones that do that. We're like,
yeah.
remember when you said that one thing? Yeah.
Yep.
I wasn't very good at that ever. I was always angry and going to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you slept with it. You was able to go to sleep with
Oh,
it?
yeah.
I could never.
Because you didn't, yeah.
That's the
I
wrong
get
kind of
that.
righteousness
Yes.
on that one.
I'm just I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
done.
what does,
Bye.
Yeah.
Good night.
James 1:20, the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God.
Right. Yep.
Man, doesn't that hit hard?
Oh
though?
yeah. Yeah, that's right to the core.
Like,
Unfortunately, I haven't made it to 16 years or
Yeah.
wherever you all been.
Well, we're 34 right now, and I give all the credit to my wife.
oh, 100%. I give all the credit to Brittany every day.
I got 21 total. It just took me 2 wives to get there.
Figured it out on the second one.
Well, the first one decided she didn't want anything to do with what was going on. Second one I picked, and it worked out great. So
There you
I think
go.
I had 15 years total and 2 and women. And
yeah,
Yep.
No, I don't
yeah.
I've been pretty
have
lucky.
any, so.
I'm at, it'll be 18 this year.
There you go.
With the same one. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty lucky.
That's
We'll
good.
keep praying for you because it
Yeah.
needs to continue.
That's good
Yeah.
because I need it.
It ain't easy. You gotta want it.
It's not. Yeah.
know?
No, you gotta want to make it work.
Yep.
Okay.
Verse 28, when you read that, let him who stole steal no longer, but rather let him labor, working with his hands what is good, that he may have something to give him who has need. And Rich was just talking about, is tithing still a thing?
Well,
Did they talk about that Sunday in church or
they
something?
do every week.
Yeah.
It seems like, and to me, a lot of people get angry about it sometimes. Why?
can.
Because they think they're
The-
just trying to
The
con
church is
you
just
out of
wanting
money, right?
Yeah, just wanting money.
And you know what? I probably thought that once or twice back in the old days when I was.
Well, I can be honest and say that I have.
But
when I
then
was
I'm
younger.
like, no, they need this money to pay bills. They need this money now. And then I asked Dean the other night. They say 10% of your money, and then he said that means a tenth, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The tenth or
The
something.
tenth. Well, that's the.
And then
if
that's
you
where you
into
get it
Greek
from the
language,
tenth,
that's-
or a tenth of your
Yeah.
earnings.
And that's a hard pill to swallow,
And if
right?
you- yeah.
But when you get back in the Old Testament days, those guys were giving and giving and giving,
Yeah.
and they were, and depending on how crooked the tax collector was,
Oh, for sure.
some of those were probably up to 50%.
Yeah.
You know, in the Old Testament, that'd have been a tough.
That's a lot
That'd
of
have made
money.
me get good with a sword.
You know, so.
Yep.
I just keep
But anyway,
thinking, how do I get there?
that verse is just mostly talking about, you know, you get to give.
Yeah.
When that verse hits me, I think
The purpose of
It's-
getting.
instead of stealing, earn what you have.
Right. It redirects
Oh,
his
absolutely.
focus.
Yeah, like instead of like tithing, right? Like you are literally earning, like my two hands and my wife's two hands have earned, and God, of course. God is a big factor in everything that we do, right? But that's given us what we have. No, I may not have much, but by God, these two hands
Yeah.
and the grace of God has got me there.
Well, when you understand that you don't need much,
Exactly.
that's a big epiphany for a lot of people
And
that they
I-
don't get to.
I think that a lot of people's problems is that they're trying to keep up with the Joneses, like
Yeah.
we were talking before.
Newest phone, newest truck, biggest house, nicest boat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I've played. I'll straight out tell you, I've played that game. It did not work out worth a crap for me.
Doesn't get you anywhere but lost.
Get you broke.
It will get you broker than you can ever think of. Yeah.
So one of the things I see on this is when you go from stealing, you go from deception and
Yeah.
devilry, the devil's work, right?
For sure. Yeah.
And then when you flip it around and you work and earn enough to give, now you're essentially doing what Christ did.
Yeah.
So you go from the devil's lifestyle to Christ's lifestyle, and you can build confidence and faith in a man just by his production and his value, right? So he
Yeah.
believes in his self-worth, his community believes in his worth,
Yeah.
and then he starts to give to all of those others that may also need. Because he
Exactly.
probably wasn't stealing because he had everything he ever wanted.
Yeah. No.
He's probably stealing because he felt he needed it, right?
Right. Or
maybe did need it.
What if he was stealing to feed his family?
Right. Yeah. So in turn, you give him a way to be more Christ-like, and
Yeah.
he gets to build himself, regardless of
Absolutely.
what mindset he does it in. He's
Yep.
building himself to be a better person.
Like a lot of times, if you catch somebody stealing and you're like, "I'll buy that for you,"
Yeah.
and then they start crying. Like immediately,
Yeah.
they will start bawling their eyeballs out because you're taking time out of your day to pay for exactly what they need to feed their family. Whether it's a loaf of bread, again, whatever it is, right? It all comes down to you need to open your eyes and see more. All right, sorry.
Ready?
Game on.
29. Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary
Edification.
that it may impart grace to the hearers.
Hearers,
Hearers.
yep.
Yeah,
Hearers.
so that's just talking
Not
about the new
heirs.
man.
Right.
That, get rid of your old man, get rid of your old ways. The new man is going to be able to control his mouth. Everything that
that's
he
hard to
says
do,
is going to
isn't
be good.
And it
That's
all
hard.
goes back to chapter 6 in Galatians.
You like Galatians.
I really do, yeah. I don't know why, but yeah.
It's hard to control your mouth sometimes.
It really is.
Well, the tongue's strongest
Trust me.
muscle in your body.
I use it all the
last
time.
week I felt
Yes,
bad
you do.
It's one of my strengths.
because I went off on a tangent with at a customer,
Uh-oh.
Mm.
and he was being pretty selfish, and
Oh, yeah.
I was
You were giving it right back?
I had enough that
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
and I felt
Hope
bad.
it was it with love?
Not really.
He loved to do it, but I don't know if it was with love.
No, I at the time I thought I loved to do it. Afterwards, I felt like,
Yeah, terrible.
Oh, I've done that before.
and
I've,
I was so mad at myself, but I was still mad at him.
that's when you have to call him back up and say, "Man,
Well,
I am
he's
so sorry."
in Texas probably now.
Well,
He's traveling. He's
it
traveling.
still wouldn't hurt, Rich. Like Dean just said, man, call him up. Be like, hey, I'm sorry
that
for
guy.
You know,
You
we talked
really
about forgiveness
frustrated
big
me.
time, and I know you struggle with forgiveness.
Forgiveness is
And
hard.
that has
sometimes.
nothing to do with him. Like that phone call to him has nothing to do with him.
Right.
That's the power. The power is the phone call to him. He's just going to be your witness
Right.
as you try and do better for yourself.
Exactly.
That's all that is. And it's hard.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's hard to do.
It was hard to hold my tongue, and I didn't.
Yeah, well, we all, I
It
mean, that's
came out.
human nature. That's
I mean,
human nature.
I still have
That
people
just
I haven't
happens.
forgiven.
Yeah. I went through the apology lesson some years ago, and life lesson, and it's hard.
Very.
It's very, very hard.
I
And it
think-
took me a lot of work, but it saved my current marriage
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome to hear.
because I was not going to apologize if I didn't thoroughly believe that I was in the wrong.
Yeah, you talked
And
about
as a
that
highly
before,
confident
yeah.
man, I never believed I was thoroughly in the wrong, right? Because I do what I do on purpose with intention and thought.
Yeah.
No, man. Learning that life lesson and then being able to call and forgive and have that person be your witness. No better witness than the person that you did it against. That's what brings the power to you.
Amen to that, brother.
Yeah. That's what brings the power to you. And like I said, has nothing to do with that other person. When you make that phone call, man, and you hang up that phone, the first time I did it, I cried. And I'm not embarrassed to tell a single person about
no.
it. Because it was a weight lifted off my shoulders I didn't know I was carrying.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is possible. So it like opened my eyes, lightened my load, like gave me something I could be confident in that, holy shit, I can do this. And yeah, so
Yep.
you mentioned it, like calling. Clearly, I'm a big fan of that idea. So
Well,
you don't have to do it. You live your life, do what you want.
Probably
but-
easier than forgiving the guy that took my daughter.
Oh, absolutely.
I did
You
forgive.
already
yeah.
did
I
that.
finally did that on her it would have been her 18th birthday this year, and I put it out on Facebook. I can't get a hold of him because he blocked me for.
But maybe somebody else will see
But someone,
that.
I was hoping
So,
maybe
you
so
know,
he would
Rich
see
is
it, someone would see
reaching
it,
out
and
to
he
you.
would tell him.
But you've done your thing.
Yeah,
You've forgiven.
you've given your effort. Yep.
And I wasn't trying to do it over all Facebook.
Yeah,
and shit,
yeah.
tell everybody. I was just
Right.
trying to do it to
Yep.
Yeah,
clear
get
my
you in.
head. And,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The
and
values
some
you.
people
Yep.
said, you know what, you probably now you're finally healing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
it was good.
That's big of you, man.
Yeah,
it
man.
really, it really
and that's
is.
hard.
It's tough.
That's a big step.
That's a big pill
It
to
was-
swallow.
It was hard to do, but I felt it was time.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
been long enough.
I'm happy for you.
I'm proud.
Been way too long.
Does it feel lighter now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to make you start crying here,
No.
but that,
No, you won't. That don't happen often.
good.
Yeah.
Well, we need to change that.
There's Dean.
be
Always.
honest, I'm
He's
getting
crying.
hard
better
to
at
Always
it.
cry, man. Rub up
Even-
against me a little bit.
Whoa, hey First he's marrying a fella, now you're asking him to rub up against you. It's getting weird around here, Dean.
Why don't you read verse 30?
Deal. And grieve. Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of God, whereby ye are sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you.
Man.
That's the verse I send out. That very last verse.
That
I
ended with
send
a
out.
bang there,
That's
didn't it?
That's a verse of forgiveness right there.
Yeah.
Did that not just play into
Yeah.
exactly what we were
Yeah.
saying?
I didn't realize it was.
Dean's like, shut your mouth and read it.
Right? He's probably thinking the whole time, if you guys would just shut up, you just repeat it.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, when you go back up to verse 30 there, and it says, "And do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God, by whom you were sealed for
Yeah.
the day of redemption." I mean, I think of when you talk about grieving, you have time to read a novel, and the Bible's set right there next to that novel book. You have time to read the novel, but you never open the Bible
No.
to read it. You never have time to pray.
Yeah.
But you have time to sit there and watch a TV all the time, for other stuff.
Yeah.
And you have time to go to ball games. You have time to do things for your kids, which you should do things with your kids. But you need to learn to take them to church too.
I think
you
it's-
never have time to take your kids to church.
So I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay.
I think that sports and athletic ball games are completely different than what you should actually be doing with children. You want to know why? as a husband and a dad, a father of all things, you should teach your children what life really is, or try to give them an educated guess, even if it's just a wiffle bat and a ball, and you do your best to hit it out of the park, but it just floats and falls, right? But I think that a dad should take their kids hunting to show the kids the full circle of life.
Mm-hmm.
This is what God gave us.
Genesis 3:9.
There you go.
I also think calving and lambing season in this area is a pretty good opportunity for you to see things that should be natural.
Exactly.
And people are like, oh, it's so gross, it's disgusting,
not, yeah.
it's inappropriate. And it's like, what? No. This is a beautiful circle of life here. Like,
Yep.
every one of these that hits the ground and walks, makes a noise, and becomes something, is God's gift.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how do you not see that as beautiful?
Like,
Right.
I drive.
Look at a seed that's planted.
Right, yeah.
I drive
about that
I-80 every
seed.
day, and I see nothing but baby antelope, right?
Yeah.
Because they're
Yeah.
all over right now.
Yep.
All over.
Yep.
And it's like, why would I not want my kids to see the full circle?
Right.
This is where they come from.
Yep.
This is what happens.
Yep. It's like my boys and my beef steers that stay at the house to get finished.
Yeah.
My mama also calved, my longhorn mama, calved right in the same pen.
Oh, there
so
you
my
go.
boys got to see the calf be born,
Yeah.
and then the boys got to see it grow up, and then the ones that are getting ready to go to slaughter, the boys went
Yep.
with me to take them to the processor, and they see the ones I just dropped off, and the
Yep.
one that's hanging getting clean,
Yeah.
and the ones that are in the freezer, and
Yep.
the guys with the saws and the knives,
Yep.
and I think it's important.
Yeah. See,
For them to understand
like
it.
back when I was growing up, the butcher came to my house,
Mm-hmm.
and we actually had a little A-frame,
Yeah.
like 2 telephone poles that we made with a steel rod over it. Pop the steer,
Mm-hmm.
and then used a tractor or a horse to drag it to the A-frame, and then, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing more than full circle life
Yep.
as far as teaching somebody
Yep.
what was put in front of you for this reason.
I really don't know what you mean. I've
Well,
never
we
seen
can
this.
teach you, Rich.
Yeah. You just happen to have a circle of
We
friends.
can
which
teach
can
you.
learn from.
Nope, never
Yeah.
seen this.
I taught a
I just go
A
to the grocery
70-year-old
store and
fella.
get it.
You're right, right.
taught a 70-year-old fella how to hunt big game a couple
Really?
years back. Yep.
What big game?
He had done deer,
Okay.
and I brought him up, and we did a cull hunt in Sheridan for whitetail does.
Oh, nice.
So we brought back, I don't know, 8 whitetail does.
Oh, yeah.
And from the time he started shooting to the time he put the animal in the freezer, I helped him with every step.
Good.
And I've done that with a bunch of different vets. I usually bring 3, and we stay in Airbnb the night prior, hunt
Yeah.
the next day, and then come home, and then I take them through processing,
Oh,
and cutting,
nice.
all that stuff. So that's always really neat because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
show these people how to do this
Yeah.
stuff.
It
And
is.
that was the oldest gentleman I'd ever,
Well-
oldest person, period, that I'd ever shown hunting.
Little heads up, I do have connections in Iowa with farmland if you ever want to cull some does out there.
Yeah, I'm in. Yeah. I mean, I'm doing pretty good at keeping food in the freezer right
Oh, yeah.
now, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm always up for an adventure. I mean, I just went to South Dakota to shoot a turkey.
Yeah,
so,
well, but it was a
get
good,
one?
Hell
it
yeah,
was a
got
good
one.
experience, though, right?
yeah, I shot
we've
him with a
seen that.
bow.
Yeah. We talked about that. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
We did, yeah.
That was an awesome experience.
Yep.
So deer is big game.
Yep.
Deer's big
Really?
game, yeah.
Yep.
Deer,
Pretty much
antelope,
antelope and elk.
elk, anything with
Yep.
Yep.
anything with
Antelope,
horns or
yeah.
antlers. Horns or antlers is all big game.
Now, if you
I would-
want to go out and
I
shoot
would
a
think an elk or a moose, and that
Oh,
would be big
yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but deer and antelope are tied right into that.
Yep.
Big game is what you eat, edible.
yeah. I mean, if you
Well, you
want to
you
go
can
try
eat a
to
lot of other
You can
stuff,
eat a
if
but
you
duck.
want to go try to
It's what the
spear
game
kill a
fish
bison, that's
requires.
up
Right.
to you.
No.
Yeah.
you have to take care of that.
Although bow
Yep.
hunting,
Those
you
things are huge.
just remember that bow hunting is way different than rifle hunting.
Oh yeah.
Archery hunting, when it comes to all that stuff, man, it is 100% you and that animal. There is,
When you think you're good at hunting with a rifle, pick up a bow.
yeah, just try
You'll-
that out for
You'll
size.
be humbled.
I'm pretty
Just try
sure
and
I'm
shoot
not,
anything at 50 yards.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I'm
target.
not good at hunting at all.
Oh, we could teach you.
You'd be surprised. It's usually beginners that are the better shot because they don't know all the bad habits. I just tell you, do the fundamentals, and you do them, and dead.
All right.
I liked that very last verse there, where it talks about, you know, God in Christ forgave us.
Yes.
And I think that's a good place to end.
It is.
When we think of all of the sins that we have had.
All the garbage.
All the garbage. And Christ took our sins
Yep.
to that cross, nailed it to the cross.
And all we have to do is have faith in him.
Yeah. And he, you know, and that was enough that he would forgive us.
Yep.
And show us his love.
Yep.
He loved us that much that he would do that. It just blows my mind. And for one person, he would have done that.
Yep.
And that was you.
But it wasn't just one
Or
person.
that was me.
It was millions.
And that was us.
Yeah.
He did
millions
it. He
and
did
millions.
it for everyone.
And
Yep.
you know, most of his miracles that I've been watching that show, and if they have faith, he heals them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all he asks for, and he even tries to tell them to say it. You know, puts it in there, and he's
Speak
like,
it. Yep.
Yeah.
"So, I want to be healed. Whatever. Well, you guys, do you have faith in
Sin
me?
no more.
Do you have faith in me?
You are healed.
Yeah.
Sin no more.
And why do you?" And then they ask, "Why? Why do you heal these people that have sinned so much?" And he says, "They had faith. They have faith in me."
Yeah.
Man, I really
I was like,
enjoy
wow.
these nights.
It was. That show's
Anyway.
pretty cool. Anyway.
Do it for Christ's sake.
That's it. All right, Dean, I'm going to want you up here in the front of this here table to explain what we got going on here.
You know, I was.
There's some
We don't have any
WW
guns.
rounds
We don't
up
have
there,
any
man.
guns here.
It
tonight.
looks like it, doesn't it?
What I found.
Is that wax capped?
There's a whole
It
bunch
sure
of
looks like
just
it.
old shotgun shells there. You know, there's paper shells. You can see there's low brass and then
Yeah.
there's high brass and
What's that green one in the middle? Is that composite or is that
all,
painted?
everything's plastic. There's no
Looks
brass.
like plastic.
That's what I thought. That's
Little
awesome.
Firing pin.
Man, we're going to have to get up close to the
shoved in
camera to
there
show all this.
And
Okay,
we
Dean.
don't. I mean, we don't have to.
No, we're
them
gonna
all,
show
but they're just kind of
And I'm going to have
out of
you...
my little collection.
Come on,
of
get
old
on up here. You
shotgun
got to
shells.
explain it all.
But,
Dude, the lighting is perfect.
so you know, we start with the old 410. This is paper.
Go up a little.
So
There you go, yep.
Paper.
so high brass, but all paper,
how does it stay
cardboard,
together?
whatever you call it. And then it's got probably wax in
I
there.
mean,
and
just
a
like
piece
this.
of cardboard in there also.
You know what I mean?
Everything
Hold
else
it
is
Laminated.
straight on me.
Press
Turn it
form.
the other way.
So it's
To where you're showing the paper.
what's a good reference?
hold still.
So is it wax?
Like a
or-
paper towel roll,
I got a
right? You pull all the
gauge
paper
that
towels
has it.
off, the roll's gonna
Okay.
stay in shape until you start beating it up, right? So when you take a
But if
shotgun
that,
shell
this
like
is,
that,
This is
if
paper.
that gets wet,
Yep.
all paper.
right? You don't want to get it wet.
Okay.
It's probably
Whatever, but
that's
wax
what I'm
impregnated
asking.
or oil impregnated,
top to
I would
seal it
guess.
off.
So that way it's somewhat water
Probably some
resistant.
wax put
But
in
yeah,
it
you can't
also.
drop that in
Right.
the water. Whereas
That's
like
like
this,
perfect. I can see it.
these
excellent.
two here on the end,
yeah.
the black and the red one, I've dropped those
high
in the
brass.
river
Yeah.
duck hunting.
So what shot
picked
you
them
think
back
that
out,
is?
shook the water
If
off,
it's
and
high
stuffed them
brass,
in the
is it
shotgun and killed a
number
duck
6,
with them.
number
So,
4? What do you think?
I mean,
Well,
it's
it says
possible.
2 on
It's
that
not
end.
optimal.
Oh, it's number
I
2.
wouldn't pick one up that's been in the water for half an
It says
hour.
2 loads.
You know what I mean?
Oh, man.
So instead of marking it on the side, they put it on the little cardboard thing that goes in there.
That's awesome. So what would that be then? Like,
That's pretty cool.
What would be some kind of almost buckshot, wouldn't it?
yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Like double aught. Maybe that's what that means.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, maybe I don't know.
Jared, what do you think?
I'm looking.
But you see, this one's all plastic. The whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's even. That's just a
Thing's
little
gotta be
plastic
old.
thing that's shoved in there and must be heated up then and crimped
It has to be, yeah.
in there.
Are they dated?
I
No,
don't
not
see
usually.
any-
Hold it right
Oh,
there.
okay.
Hold it up just a little bit more.
They don't tell you when they were
Look
made,
at
huh?
that.
And
That's
then,
crazy.
then plastic down here and the primer stuck right in the middle of it.
Wow, that's awesome.
So I have no idea.
Huh?
Maybe it used to be printed on here and you know
It's
what was
such a
in there.
Skinny little.
But there's nothing there now.
Yeah, that 410.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, here I can.
And they just go pop.
Compared to all those others, these are so skinny.
So
Oh,
this
that's
one,
a 2-shot.
I don't know what's under there. They've they've sealed it off, and then they've just
Number
put a,
6, or does that say number 5?
I think 6.
Yes, it's 6.
But those were just some old shells I had. This is a new one. You can see where they
Yeah.
put it on there.
Winchester Super X.
Yeah.
I got piles and piles and piles of
Number
those
4,
at the
so
house.
you
Yeah.
know what you got in
Yep.
there. But some shotguns, shoot the high brass really well.
Right.
Some, when you put a low brass in there, they don't cycle.
Hey, you know what shotgun
so
never cares?
I was gonna ask you, what's the difference?
Single shot, don't care.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this one has nothing
No pair, don't care.
on the no
Yeah, no
brass. or
brass.
anything.
Yeah. It's just,
Did you talk about the 2 3/4, 3 and 3.5s?
we have not.
No.
So I've got 20 gauge. So 410.
Yep.
410 is actually not a gauge. That's a caliber of a shotgun shell. Then you have 20 gauge, 12 gauge, and most common is 2 3/4 inch. And then you jump up to the 3, and then they also go 3.5s.
3.5s are typically like a long
Magnum
distance
shell,
water.
right?
Yeah, it's a long distance for like waterfowl or turkey.
So like a 10 gauge.
Is that the length?
10 gauge would be a larger round. You could do, I think 10
Do
gauge.
they do 3.5s? Does 10
I
gauge do a
don't know what we do in
3.5?
10 gauge. I'm not educated in 10 at all.
I've never had a 10, but there's one. I can't remember if it's 2 3/4 or 3.5s that 10 gauge doesn't do. And that might also be wrong too. So I'll just stop talking about 10s because I don't know. But I know 12s. I use a lot of 12s and 20s. But
Okay.
yeah, I shoot a lot of 3.5s for turkey, and if I'm doing goose, like
Okay.
Canada gooses,
Yeah.
stuff like
Get
that.
out there a little long range.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, hit them a little harder. But 2 3/4 and 3s. I usually shoot 3s for ducks, 2 3/4 for anything upland.
But just to get back to talking about shotgun shells, so there's shotgun. A shotgun shell could have all different sizes of BBs in there.
Mm-hmm.
Either lead or used to be all lead,
You're right. Yep.
It did, yeah.
and anything from I don't know what was the smallest shot. Was it 8?
8.
Yeah,
It's 8.5
your
now.
clay
But
pigeon.
And
Eight
they're
used to be the
7.5.
Or wait, no, I think it was 7 back in the day.
7.5,
Yeah.
8 and 7.5 were good for
Either way,
trap.
they're
Yep.
tiny,
The-
tiny,
Yeah,
tiny.
yeah.
Yeah, the larger the number, the smaller the shot, and the more BBs you get in there. So when you're
So
shooting
smaller
trap,
spread comes out.
Spread's usually similar. There's just more pellets per inch in the spread.
Okay.
So in that same space, right, that same amount of volume, you could fit a lot more tiny pellets than you can 2 big BBs.
I see.
Right?
So like when you're talking 7.5 or 8 pellets, when you're shooting like trap, it takes 3 pellets to break that
Clay.
clay.
Yep.
Or if you're shooting like a 6-shot, which would be a lot less BBs in there, and only one BB hits that clay, it probably won't break it. It's just going to go through it. So you have the smaller shells, get more of them to hit it, it'll break it up. So
Yep.
Cool.
So then you get into different bird hunting, or you can shoot small game.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get into the regulations and stuff like that, now a lot of the migratory game birds, you have to shoot with steel shot.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot use lead. And because they're thinking that birds are going out and eating all that lead, which some of them I'm sure are, and getting lead poisoning.
Yep.
And so now they've went to steel or bismuth or something like that,
Well,
which has created a whole other
Tungsten
issue.
if you're rich.
Yeah, which has created a whole another issue now with shotguns, because they have that chokes on the end of them that you can change them chokes out
Right.
so that you can either shoot farther or spread it open. Spread it open's fine, but when you try to compact and keep that shot, especially steel shot or bismuth or something
Yeah.
like that, choked down, it won't go through the end of the barrel because it doesn't give. Where lead, used to give. You could shrink it and keep it together, but steel will just bust your barrels open. Or
Well, it's the same thing with the
Tear your
rifles,
choke out.
right? The new modern day rifle cartridges. There was so many eagles and hawks that were eating the decayed bodies of big game that they finally started going to a polymer tip instead of the lead tip because they were getting lead poisoning and dying eventually.
Or like, I'm sure California, there's probably a couple other states, they do lead-free high-power rifle rounds.
Yeah.
So like Barnes TTSX is a solid
Yep.
copper round. I actually like that round a lot. I've put a couple elk down with it, and it performs
I'm
wonderfully.
a
So
big fan of the Hornady SSTs.
yeah, there you go. Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Dean, what do you got over here in these bags?
Well, do we have time for them? I mean,
Oh, I don't see why we don't.
there's a whole lot of brass in here.
Oh
So
boy.
these are all mostly handgun rounds.
Yep, the handgun rounds. I think a lot of people are really interested in that giant one you got in there.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. Grab you got a 17 HMR in there?
I do.
Yeah.
We just got to
So
find
is
it.
that what's in the Gatling gun I shot?
No,
No.
that would be
That's
more like
bigger, right?
something like this.
Oh, okay.
Or here's a 22 long rifle.
So that is
Oh,
a
this is birdshot, 22 birdshot.
50 BMG compared to a 22.
This is 17 HMR in the middle.
No, I guess we're going off. We're done now.
We're done now.
I don't know if you can get a better comparison there. Yeah, that's pretty massive.
I just shot. The company got a suppress. Is that there you go. That's a polymer round, isn't it?
Possibly
whole
could,
round?
but it's 223. So this is a 60 grain.
I mean the material that it's made out of.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that a solid polymer round?
It could be. I didn't. What is this? Boy, we need to get some more light out of this. This is 30-30.
More light.
You want me to read it?
Well, it's 30-06.
My eyeballs still work pretty good.
Yeah.
When the contacts work right.
But I think, the one thing we want to talk about here is when you get into different shells and
That's a
stuff like
44
that.
mag, isn't it?
Possibly could be. They got a lot of stuff here.
Sure looks like it.
Oh, sorry, Dean.
Or a 357 mag, one of the two.
No, 357 skinny.
Yeah, that one right there that you have in your hand.
44 mag on this one.
Yep, but
when you go-
I meant your right hand.
Small to large. So here's, for instance, 22 just round nose or
Yeah.
22 hollow point.
Yep.
So what people need to realize is that when you're buying shells, you buy shells to use for what you're going to shoot.
Yeah.
And when you want to go out,
Oof.
What is that?
that's a RIP.
Yep.
Yeah, you're
That's
dang
what I was
right. That's
talking
an
about.
RIP.
That's the one that starburst the watermelon. Was it you guys I was talking about that with?
I think so.
It breaks open into flechettes.
Yeah,
I've got those in
Rest
40
peace.
cal.
Boy, you get hit with that one. Rest in peace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
gonna
think the
be
judge
rest
would
in peace.
I don't think the judge would be friendly with me if I shot somebody with that.
Well, that's just it. Like that.
They'd be
or
like, "That's overkill, man."
Underwood. You ever heard of Underwood? I need to buy a box. I don't have anything that I want to shoot Underwood through.
We should take this up to the camera so they can see.
You
that
should,
a little
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
bit. I didn't know if we had.
You got a regular 45 in there?
There's you
There's
can
one
take
right
that
there.
one. Yep.
Yeah, well, that's still hollow point.
Well, that's
I thought
still
I had one that
different,
was just
though.
a plinking. But yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
So when we're talking 45 ACP, you can see this is what you go shoot with when you're just
At
want
the
to go
range,
practice
yeah.
at the range and target shoot. It's cheap.
Yep.
Well, I shouldn't say cheap, but
Well,
cheap.
yeah.
It's less expensive.
There you go. That's a good way
yeah.
to put it.
That bullet's all full metal jacketed. It doesn't do anything but punch a hole in a target.
Yep.
If you shoot a person or shoot an animal or anything like that,
It's going to go
with
through it.
it just goes right through it.
Yep.
Yeah, it takes a lot of bullets to do something.
Yeah.
So then you have what's called a hollow point, which if you can see that, has got that hollow point in there. And when you, even those little 22 long rifles had hollow points. So if you're shooting a rabbit, even with that, just that hollow point
Yep.
will just make that bullet expand. You
Yep.
want to do a shock.
Yep.
When you hit something, you want to shock the internal organs and stuff of that animal, or if you're using it for personal protection, this bullet will hopefully stay within what you're shooting.
Yeah.
This bullet goes clear through, so if there's somebody standing beyond or
Yeah.
something standing behind there that
Yep.
you don't want to shoot, it's going to go through and get it. maybe 2 or 3 of them.
Oh yeah, probably.
Where if you do with a hollow point, it expands, it does a shock, it stays
Yeah.
within the body.
And then there's the next one.
And then you have this one. And this one, if you see, it's a RIP round. And lots of little pieces there. When that baby hits you, that thing's coming apart
Oh yeah.
into about 8 different pieces.
Yeah, there ain't. That one's gonna stay in you no matter what.
Shrapnel
Yes.
bouncing around in your body. So.
Yep. Like a miniature grenade.
So there's a lot of science goes into ammunition.
Yes.
And, everybody thinks that, well, I need that. I need this one. If I'm going to defend myself, I need this great big piece of ammunition here to defend myself. But the science has come so far into like the 9mm and the 380s and stuff like that. They're all performing really well.
Yeah.
This one right here is called the Brain Scrambler.
Yeah.
You put that through somebody's eyes and it just ricochets inside your brain, inside your skull cavity.
I cannot attest to this, but I've heard that round right there has killed many a deer back in its day.
Oh, absolutely. I bet it has. My grandpa used to kill bulls out in his feedlot.
Absolutely.
Hey, we need some beef on the table, and he would take a .22 long rifle out there and whack that bugger.
Yep.
I actually had a pretty bad experience about that. My grandpa was he used to do dairy farm, right? So he had Holstein bulls. And a Holstein bull, as we all know it, doesn't add up to much, right? Like the value of the bull is not nothing as a calf, right?
Yep.
So he would raise them, feed them, get them fat, and then we'd butcher them. And that one bull's skull was so thick that it took a 30-06 to pierce it. The 22 didn't do it. A 30-30 didn't do it from 10 feet away. Finally took a 30-06 to put that bull down. And that was just the pure bone density of that skull. And it was miraculous as a little kid. Or 8, 9 years old. You're sitting there and you're like, well, 22 should do it. Nah, it made him mad.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you go through that and you're sitting there and you're thinking, you're like, okay, so there's some things that 22 can't do, especially with a big Holstein bull, But, yes, a 22 will put down whatever in the world you ever thought about doing. 9 times out of 10.
I think, Rich, was you asking, are these dangerous? Sitting out here?
Was I asking? No.
Did somebody, I thought I heard somebody say that. Are these dangerous? And then, no, they're not.
No.
These are loaded shells, ready to fire, but if you was to even throw this in a fire and burn it, it's going to go pop.
It is going to go pop, correct.
If anything's going to move in that, it's going to be the shell.
Yep.
Going to move and do more damage than the bullet.
Yep.
Because there's nothing holding it. These things, when they go into a firearm, they're fit so snug around everything and held that it has to have all that pressure around there when it goes off. In order to send that projectile out.
Yep.
Throw it in the fire, pop.
It's going to go boom.
It's not going to do anything.
Yeah, it's going to go boom.
But it's not going to really
You're right. Nothing else is going to happen.
You can probably try to stick this in a vise and hit that little fire pin right there, and it might fly out of there and stuff, but you're not holding it like it should be. You might split the shell, might split the casing.
We used to shoot 12-gauge shells in the crotch of a tree with a 22 from like 50 yards away. Shoot. Finally hit that primer, and it pop like a firework.
What we used to do is we used to take the big CO2 cartridges, the 10-pounders, the big ones that you could get for paintball guns back in the day, and we'd fill them up full of gunpowder and shoot them.
You'd waste a lot of gunpowder, but
you did.
Boy, it'd be fun.
It was fun, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, nowadays you can just buy tannerite.
Yeah.
Well, at least in some states.
Yeah.
But anyway, most bullets are scientifically designed to perform to what you're shooting at.
Correct.
And even when you get into, these are mostly rifle
Yep.
bullets over here. And even if you look at those, I mean, they're going to have a
Selection of 'em.
ballistic tip on the end
Yep.
of them, or
Or
a little copper tip,
or a little
or
lead.
lead tip.
yeah,
They're designed that when they hit the animal, they expand
yeah,
and they shock the animal. When you're shooting animals, you want to have a clean kill,
absolutely.
and you want that shock
You do, yes.
in there. And so you need to do some research and find the ammunition that works best
Yeah.
for your rifle
And for the ranges you plan to shoot.
Right.
and the range.
Because
Right.
something that has terminal ballistics for 1,200 yards is going to have significantly different terminal ballistics at 100 yards.
Yes.
So if you go from hunting fields and you chase something into the timber and blast it at 100 yards, your terminal ballistics are going to play a whole different game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you can't use in theory, you should not use a 300 Win Mag for under 100 yards.
There's probably a 300 Win Mag in there. There's
Like-
Ultra Mags. There's
You probably use a hollow point.
You,
It'd open up and dump the energy pretty quick.
yep, but would it still go through?
I hope not.
It'd be close. Like if you do a straight vital shot,
Yeah.
I bet she'd go through.
I shot one of those TTSXs out of my 7 mag at 60 yards. Blew through one side of the elk, through the liver, the tail of both lungs, and planted in the hide of the far side.
Really? Huh.
7 mag, 60 yards.
Yep.
62 yards if we're being specific, but yeah, I thought, wow, that's incredible terminal ballistics. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
how's this going to work it? Because I had it, I figure about to 600 yards, I'm
Yeah.
okay. So I was like, oh, this is my round, this is my round. And it did that at 60 yards, and I was like, okay. So I do a little more looking, but
Yep.
yeah.
Jared, what are we drinking tonight?
Weeded bourbon. Big surprise, Pine Bluffs, right? Shout out to them. Thanks again for the venue.
Yes.
This one's got a mash bill of 60% corn, 20% barley, 20% wheat. So this one, let's see if he's got anything cool in the back. Complex, smooth, and memorable taste explosion. So this one is your standard bourbon with a flash of wheat flavor in there, so that puts a little bit more earthy in it. If you are averse to a rye, I turn people this direction. If ryes have the spice, this has a little bit of the earth.
Yep.
That's a really general shot about how to separate them apart. But this is actually one of my favorite ones here. It's a pretty tasty beverage. Self-acclaimed fat kid. I like the sweeter stuff. Sometimes the peppers and the nutmegs and the spices and stuff of a rye kind of, yeah, cool, but it's not my thing. So this, you get a lot further away from some of the spices. So that's why I really like this one. So
I've been told that if you like Crown, you'll like this one.
yep, we compared it against a Baker 7.
Oh, okay.
7-year
There you
the other
go.
day. And the only thing this one didn't have on that Baker 7 is this one tasted younger, which makes sense. This is 4 years old,
Yeah.
so it's almost half the age.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a testament to the quality that I've said long before it was ever on a podcast, that these guys are making amazing quality with how young their beverages
Absolutely, yes.
are. It's a testament to the quality that's coming out of these 4-year-old barrels, and it's also a nice reference to if you're drinking decent. Baker 7's pretty decent bourbon. For a drinker's bourbon. If you're drinking decent bourbon, you can put this up against it, and there's only a minor change.
Yes.
If you haven't had Baker's for a week and a half, and you drank a drink of this, you wouldn't be upset that you had this instead.
No.
So, did you want some?
Are you partaking, sir?
Well, I gotta see if what he said's true.
Oh, okay.
I am a rye guy,
Yeah, that's okay.
but
don't hold it against
I'm
you.
not opposed to the wheat. I think this is probably, I don't know if it still is. It was their number one seller.
I bet you it might move into the rye category as far as number one
but
seller
their
now
rye,
after that
yeah,
double
their
gold.
rye is doing really good. But if rye scares people away,
Yeah.
and when you tell them, hey, we got a wheated bourbon, you know that, and you're going to get the earthly flavors instead of the spice like he was talking about.
What do you think, Rich?
Then they can get on
I
board.
like
with
it better
but,
than Crown.
You like it better in Crown?
God, I hope so.
I mean,
And then
it
after
blows
this,
Crown away.
Jared brought us a nice little treat, so we get to see what that is here after we get done drinking this and explore that little venue.
But you know that is for 3.5. I don't think they've made it 4 years yet on on the weeded. They're
On the
close.
weeded, yeah. Approximately 4 is what I was going
Yeah.
for.
4 is what they're trying to get to, but they can't keep it in stock enough
Yeah.
to get it over the 4. And so that has to say something for it right there.
Yep.
That 3.5 years old and as smooth as that. I mean, that's smooth.
It's smooth, yeah.
Yep.
Very.
I should have seen what proof it was
What were you
bottled
going to
at.
say, Rich?
There's
90 proof.
They have more than, they have older than 4 years back there, right?
Yeah.
Not of the weeded bourbon, though.
No,
It's not. It's all specialty barrels that are older than 4.
Correct.
There's no general product.
Sure, there might have been a person buy a barrel back there and they're just leaving
They're
it
just
back
leaving
there
it
and letting
there,
age.
okay.
And they go sample it every now and then, and so do we some. No, we don't tell
Yeah.
them that too much.
Well, unless it's Maddie's barrel, we got to ask Maddie every time.
Yeah.
But that's the that's the neat thing about this place, you know, is if you're interested in different bourbons or you're
Yep.
interested in buying, you know, we talked about that before
Yep.
about buying a barrel
Yep.
and coming up here and going back there and sampling the ones that are going to be available
Yep.
before long. Pick out a barrel. You can let it age for as long as you want,
Yep.
really. And
Can you even imagine what these guys' products would taste at a 10-year?
I
oh
can't
my
wait.
goodness.
I told Chad, I was like, Chad, when do I get to get like a 10 or 12 year barrel? He goes, I don't think we're going to have 10 or 12 year barrels. And I was like, why? He goes, because we keep selling them. And I was like, that's a good problem to have.
It is, yes. Yep.
So, yeah, because I also asked him, I was like, hey, dude, when are you expanded? When are you going to build a rick house over there, you
Yeah.
know? He's like, nope, we're going to keep it this size. And I was like, okay, that seems like a logistical challenge for your barrels.
Yeah.
He goes, at the rate we're harvesting, it's not going to be any problem at all. And I was like, also a good problem.
Yeah. Another huge shout out to Pine Bluffs Distilling for letting us continue to keep doing this here. This is an amazing place to keep doing this because it's always they're always open to us coming in here and filming podcasts and doing pretty much. They can just give us free
They're just
free
good
reign.
Wyoming
Yeah.
folk.
Yeah, that's a good
Yep.
way to put it. Yep.
Good people.
That is yummy though.
Yep.
Yeah, the reason I think that they make such good whiskey is because of this area that we live in and the barometric pressures that the variations that it has, you know,
Yeah.
all the time. And,
Especially specifically right here around these bluffs.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you guys get the weather swings over here and slams up
Oh, yeah.
against those bluffs.
Well,
and it
just
just
earlier
changes.
today there was a tornado warning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now here we are outside.
Yeah, I was sitting there looking at it earlier, and I texted all you guys. I'm like, outside tonight, and I was like, ooh.
That might have been a bad call. Let's see how this goes.
Yep,
Roof
exactly.
stays on.
Yeah.
Stayed east.
They actually built this place and the roof got ripped off like a year after
Absolutely.
they built it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Talk about wind ripping the roof off. That's a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah, wind blows through here
Yep.
80, 90 mile an hour at times.
I think
Without
they had
tornadoes.
an issue
Yeah,
with their
exactly.
engineer or their builder on that one though.
I'm kind of disappointed, Dean. No snakes tonight.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to bring some cookies, though, for a snack, and I
Oh,
forgot.
heck yeah.
The snakes didn't work out too well.
No. Well, the
Oh, you
fire
know what? I
wasn't going.
found some mushrooms, too. Do you guys like mushrooms?
I love mushrooms.
Yeah.
You know you're supposed to cook them.
You're supposed to
cook them,
cook
huh?
Oh,
Yeah, you know,
that's
even
what you
though-
do with mushrooms?
Even those little white ones that you get in the store, you put your salad. You know, we always
Right.
eat those raw.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
I had a gal tell me the other day that you're supposed to actually cook those. There's something in them that you need to get rid of, even in the.
So do you
She's
That's
got
crazy.
me scared now.
Those white button mushrooms?
Yeah, yeah.
Nah.
so do you saute them much then?
You're supposed to saute them.
Yeah, I'd saute
butter.
them with some garlic
Butter
and
and
butter
garlic,
and some
yeah.
salt and
And I was
pepper.
going
And
to do that. I got a blue one. She sold me this blue. It's like a flower.
did you go to
yes,
the carpenter store?
I did. No. Yeah, that's where it's from.
Yeah. Farmer's market though.
I went to the farmer's market in
yeah.
Cheyenne, and she was there.
Oh
Like,
man, you
know,
get some of those
You're
blue
going to start
oysters.
smelling colors when you eat those things. Yeah. The walls are going to be dripping.
Man, I'm telling you what, that mushroom farm is what I'm going to call it.
Yeah.
They have lion's mane, which is really good.
Oh,
for,
yeah, yeah.
Really, really good for you.
Yeah.
And the blue oyster ones.
Blue
Yeah.
oyster. That's what I got.
Oh my goodness!
And I meant to
They
saute
They
them.
go
We're
so
gonna
good
go
with a
bring it out
steak.
tonight.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable. You
Oh,
just
man.
slice them up and saute them.
He
Is
said-
that the one
you
over there
said
just
you were
west of
gonna
the
bring
school?
it.
Yes.
forgot it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go over there.
You
You
don't
need
want to come
to.
home
Yeah.
tonight with me and we'll saute that up and have a mushroom?
Okay.
They just had something happen to their family, right? And they asked for people to come to the greenhouse to support instead of send flowers
I
and
didn't
stuff.
hear that.
I could be off on that one, but I think
I don't know.
it might be.
I don't know. All I know
Anyway,
is that
Either way, that's a really good place.
If
That's worth
there's
supporting.
any mushroom lovers out there,
what's the company
sorry
name?
I didn't
Dan?
get one sauteed up tonight, but if you're interested, get a hold of us and we can.
What's the
find
company
their-
name?
I can't remember, but we can find their name and get a hold of them. And
They have very good mushrooms. And there's a lot of benefits to a lot of those mushrooms as far as health-wise, too.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain ones that are prone to help lower blood pressure. Like, it's... And then there's certain ones that'll help erectile dysfunction.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Blood flow and
Yeah,
niacinamide stuff in
exactly,
it.
yeah. Sorry, the ED was the first thing that came up.
People probably going to buy out all the mushrooms now. Lily and
we really
and
got off the.
Pfizer are going to come over here and hunt you
Well,
down.
you know, I mean, it's
Off the
all
whiskey
it's
line
all
here,
part
but-
of hanging out.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I'm
mean-
surprised you give a bunch of guys whiskey and the conversation degens all the way down to
ED.
erectile dysfunction.
Well, I mean, look at what happens on Bible study night. What,
Yeah.
what did we talk about last time, Dean? This last Tuesday.
Clearly, the Word of God and just the Word of God. I mean, there wouldn't be anything else in Bible study, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh huh.
Remind me, I don't know where you're headed with this one.
Well, it was into like.
Yeah, that's right. Don't self-incriminate me. Don't admit to it on camera.
Well, remember, it was like Whole Foods and them genetically modifying
Oh, yeah,
fruits
right.
and
Oh,
vegetables
yeah.
these days.
You was Tuesday night you talked about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
You wasn't there.
Correct.
Yeah, like strawberries, they're never supposed to be this big around.
No.
Like you find a wild strawberry up in the
I looked
mountains,
up
they're no
that.
bigger than your thumb.
Yeah.
And they're not
What-
supposed to be bright red and bitter.
No.
That's nitrogen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you say about the carrots? That they were little lace something?
Yeah, Queen Lace,
Queen lace.
Queen Islands lace or something like that, and it actually used to be used as a early days Plan B. They
I'm-
killed
I'm-
the fetus immediately.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I would never found that when I looked at it.
Yep. That was what kind of caught my eye, and now carrots are this long, right? And back in the day, dude, a carrot was white, the color white, and that long, and the plant was 4.5 feet tall.
So here's a fun fact, and I'm probably way off on this one because I heard it from somebody, didn't prove it, but I'll tell it anyway because it'll make for a good story.
Yeah, do it.
So carrots actually come in all different kinds of colors, and when we
Yes,
throw
they
them in
do.
the garden, we grow them all different colors because
Yep.
the boys always giggle and they say, "Look at that! I got a purple one, I got a green one, I got a white one.
Yeah.
This one's white and orange." You know.
Yep.
Well, the reason orange was the prominent color is because there was some monarchy somewhere,
Yep.
and I think like his last name was Orange or something. It was Prince Orange or King Orange or something like that.
Yeah.
So they only would ever serve him orange
Oh,
carrots.
Yeah.
So they essentially bred carrots into being orange.
Yep.
All of
Well, did you know this about broccoli? We did not have broccoli until the 60s.
Is it a hybrid plant of
It is 100%
Jacked up cauliflower.
bio-modified. It is derived from cauliflower.
I
Yes.
love it.
It is so horrible for you.
Broccoli is?
Yeah.
You take a steak and get that all juice, and you dip a little
See,
broccoli.
no, see,
yeah,
there's-
just get out.
in my guts,
Okay,
you need
let
to
me
go.
go. No, I'm going full white trash. I want me a nice big floret, and I'm gonna dunk that thing in ranch.
Ranch dressing. Yeah. Me too.
I'm gonna get at it like a savage,
Now,
man.
what was you
Yep.
saying about broccoli?
It was man-made. 100% man-made. It's not something you can find in the wild.
Wow.
And that goes with lettuce, arugula,
So you
all
don't
that
eat
stuff.
broccoli?
No, I do not. I am a strict carnivore person. I only eat nothing but meat, butter, and
So if you come over to my house and I offer you a salad, you're not going to take it.
I'll turn it down 100%.
Wow. I love salad.
And so far, as of right now, I
that
have
ranch
lost
dressing.
28 pounds due to that.
Nice.
You just started this?
Yeah, about a month and a half ago.
Really?
Yep.
Carnivore.
The
Carnivore,
diet.
100%. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I could live on that though.
Oh, I do. Butter, eggs, and steak, brother.
Do you eat fruits?
Yeah.
No, sir.
No fruits. Huh.
Nope.
Oh, neither.
Because, like, a lot of your modern fruits, like I
Yeah.
just said, are
Bunch of
genetically engineered.
Yeah.
Like, it's clown food.
Yep.
Strawberries aren't supposed to be that big. And that goes with
So
tomatoes
good.
and everything else.
Or when you get a raspberry and it's like that long.
If
Yeah.
I could buy
You're
a
like,
tomato
what the hell is
seed and
that?
I grow a tomato, it's okay.
It depends on the type of seed. It depends on the brand. Some
The
brands
way to prove
are-
it is because I checked into this. This is a
Uh-huh.
quick way to prove it. If you grow your tomato plant and you take a seed from the tomato you grew
Yep.
and plant it and it grows back,
You're
you're
good to
okay.
go.
because
Yes.
GMO won't produce
Yep. Exactly.
viable seeds.
I'll tell you what. Here's what
Man,
also.
these people on this podcast
I've
are
been
learning
told that.
so much tonight.
But I'm on a roll tonight, so I could be wrong on that too. I'll just keep spitting disinformation,
That's all right.
and I'll be that guy. But that's what I've been told, and
Yeah.
I've tried it, and
Makes
I've had
sense.
stuff that was GMO seeds, and it wouldn't regrow more plants. So
Here's another bad thing about strawberries, just to give you a little clue. If you take your regular big box, like the big containers from
what I
any
always look
store,
for. Yeah, when I go to
sure,
the store.
and you put that sucker in baking soda and water, you will never eat another strawberry again.
What's it gonna do?
You'll see all these little black dots floating off of it.
oh yeah,
And then what that water that you have left is there's enough pesticide on that to respray another 30-acre field.
Can you drink that?
hell yeah,
Oh, sure.
that's what keeps me strong.
Drink to that.
That's it, though, right? Like, the governmental situations that we're in today want to keep humans and the whole population at such a sick level to feed them pills.
Do you?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So those government people that are doing that,
Yeah.
are they not going to the store and buying the same strawberry?
Absolutely
or do they,
not.
They
No.
have their own supplier.
You better believe it. Yep. That's just like I don't
I mean,
know.
I don't buy store-bought beef. I
Nope.
raise my
Is
own
this a
and eat it.
conspiracy
It's
thing?
not a
Yeah.
conspiracy thing. Like if you like
Because store-bought
if
beef
you
is
look back
trash.
when pork prices went sky high, that was because literally the government told the pork industry and all of the pork farms back east, kill them. We don't want them.
Well, they
kill
just
'em.
did that with chickens. That's why eggs are so
There
expensive.
you go. It's
Kill all the chickens! Kill all the chickens! Kill all the chickens!
Yep.
Oh, never mind. Bird flu wasn't that bad. My bad. Oops.
exactly. Yep. And it was tens of
Meanwhile,
thousands.
it's $9 a dozen for eggs or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
And that's the crazy part is like they will literally tell everybody, hey, all the farmers that are getting governmental assistance.
Do this or else.
That's whiskey smooth.
Yeah. Way to bring that back,
Delicious.
Dean.
Yeah.
Trying to get back on track.
Smooth like the feathers of all them birds they just murdered.
That's it. Yep. But that's the crazy part is like nobody ever stops and thinks about that stuff. That's just like
Because
why
it's
did
depressing. There's
why-
no end to the debauchery when you
Right.
go down that rabbit hole.
why did Colorado stop bear hunting, Dean? Can
Well,
you
the bears are pretty and they're cute and they like them
sure
in their
that's what you
backyards.
want to think.
If you're going to go into bear hunting, you got to talk about New
And
Jersey.
you can pet them.
You can pet them, sure. Yeah, I want you to walk
can
up
pet
to
'em,
a
huh?
black bear and stroke its fur.
They're just teddy bears.
What do we got here?
If you really want to get talking, you can start talking about how teddy bears and the marketing schemes
Oh,
created
mercy.
the
No, we don't need to go
positive
down
of
that.
bears through marketing.
Listen, Yogi, it's okay. But I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, it gets as ugly as you want, but then you get into
Yeah.
conspiracy theories and stuff.
What do we got here?
This is, and I know we still, well, I guess me and you, I poured yours pretty heavy, so I'm not surprised that your last to be done.
Well, that's what this hole right here is for. You can just
Yeah,
pour it
this
right
little,
down.
there we go. Yeah. So this is a Colonel E.H. Taylor small batch out of the Buffalo Trace Distillery in Kentucky. And this is just one of their many offerings.
Why don't you take that up there, Jared? Show them.
I won't go into the
see it
whole
very clear.
story behind it all or read you the whole back or any of that jazz, but I'll just show you that. This is the bottle and bond small batch.
What's bottle and bond mean? Has to be. They have to produce. They have to.
Undisturbed, unmatched,
Has to be
proofed at 100,
proof,
and it has to be
distilled and bottled in their facility.
yep.
But it's 100 proof. I think that's the biggest thing about bottled and bond is it has to be 100 proof.
Yep. That's usually what everybody says first. 100 proof. Well, you're not wrong. So I've got a couple of these bottles through good friends and good opportunities. And I decided to bring this one and see if we could crack it open and have it. I've drank a couple of these before. They're delicious. I like them. So figured I'd share it. This is a good place for it. I may have mentioned this before, but I like to collect empty bottles because that's the memory that I get to collect. So instead of having a bunch of whiskey that I didn't drink on my shelves, I have a bunch of empty bottles that represent the delicious whiskey and the friends and event that I brought it to. So I usually try and bring a bottle of whiskey to, it's usually a bottle that means something to me. Either I like it or I got it in a special time or a special place. So I bring it to people that enjoy whiskey, or at least majority of people that enjoy whiskey, and we share it, tell big lies, even bigger stories. And
The more you drink, the better.
that's
the lie.
right. Yep. And then if it gets too far and I start to lose the memory of the bottle, then I'll write on the bottom of it with a Sharpie. It'll help me remember, because as my memory fades and the bottles mount, it gets a little harder to remember. So there's a couple of them where I've got a bottle of Blanton's I had to write on the bottom of it because we did a New Year's kilt party just for funds. So everybody wore kilt. Well, all the dudes wore kilts. We did a New Year's party, and yeah, we wrecked that bottle of Blanton's in about 5.5 minutes. So, yeah, we wrote on the bottom of that one. We also had 21-year Redbreast, and we had a bunch of other real tasties there, 18-year Jameson, and some other good stuff. So,
Well, I'm excited to try it.
yeah.
I want a lot.
Okay.
Thank you.
Whenever you're ready, Dean, no hurry.
Oh, that smells
A
good.
little swab in there.
Yeah, I think it's pretty tasty myself. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, you're good there.
Yeah, I figured since I dumped a pile in there last
Yeah, you
time, I'd
loaded,
sure
you
get a
loaded
little
me up
bit.
off of that there weeded bourbon,
Yeah,
which I'm a big fan of that.
yeah.
I got to tell you, I was honestly, like, I stick with the rye mainly. And I was honestly impressed with the wheated bourbon.
You know, when I took my first swig of that tonight, I was like, why was that so good? Oh no, the sprinklers come. Hope they have them things named right.
That was my first thought. I was like, here we go, I'm about to get wet.
Sprinklers are coming on here. We irrigate at night here in
Yeah.
Wyoming.
Yes.
Because you can burn the grass if you do it during the day. And it's too dry to grow fungus. Of course, if we get a real frog strangler, we'll get some mushrooms by morning,
yeah.
but pretty rare.
Yep. All right. Well, I guess we should wait for you, huh?
No, don't wait for me. Go
Are you
ahead,
sure?
please. Yeah, absolutely. No, I brought it to drink, so if you like it, we just pour some more.
It has a pretty good smell to it.
It's actually got a pretty good taste, too, Dean.
Oh yeah. A little sweeter.
It is.
Does it have a
It
mash
is.
bill on there? You don't know.
I don't know. Let me look.
Let's find out.
Yeah.
You know, I venture off and I try a lot of different whiskeys. Well, because mainly when you're traveling
Yeah.
and you go into a hotel that has a bar or something,
Yep.
you know, you go check into your room, you come back to relax, and you kind of look and see what they have, you know,
Yeah.
on their shelf.
So what's your go-to when you're out and about?
Well, Pine Bluffs Distilling, if it's there.
If it's available, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what if it's not?
But if it's not, then you know there's stuff up there I don't know about a lot. I'm not a huge, I guess, whiskey drinker. I'm a
Fanatic.
whiskey fan, but I'm
Yeah,
not a
yeah.
whiskey, not a huge. You know, I don't.
You
go
don't
in
know
and
what to pick.
Study
yeah.
a lot of the others and you know and what they're all about or anything, but. You know, Knobs, I can't remember what the name is.
Knob
Hill? Creek?
Woodford.
Knob
Woodford's
Creek, that's right.
Knob Creek,
Yep,
yep.
Knob Creek and Woodford. You know, they make some decent whiskeys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace has always got some pretty good stuff.
Yeah. You know, and I drink those when I'm out and about because that's all they have.
Yeah.
But I'm like, and every time I go to a place that doesn't have Pine Bluffs Distilling, I'm like, I wonder how we can get that whiskey into here.
Keep asking them. Hey, get some Pine Bluffs, because the demand is
Yeah.
what's going to make them bring it in.
Oh, yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how much of that other stuff I drink, and even this one, even though it's good, it's smooth.
It
It's
is
got good-
smooth.
It's got good
It
flavor.
does have good flavor. The back end's a little harsh. Like, just the very back end of it. But it's still smooth. Like it does have that like little bite there at the end.
Yeah, you can get. You know, I get a little caramel flavor from that. I love caramel.
Yeah.
Love butterscotch.
Well, yeah, you're an ice cream loving kind of guy.
Well, I'm an ice cream guy, yeah.
You can put a dozen donuts down in front of me,
Oh yeah.
and I'll just let them dry into a hard rock.
Oh, yeah.
Won't care a bit.
Yeah.
Put a little ice cream.
You put a
for
pint of Ben and Jerry's right there on this table, and I'm wondering who's going to go for it first, or else I'm gonna. Like,
Ben and Jerry's.
I'm scheming the whole time.
Have you tried that Josie's ice cream?
Oh, it's good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's good.
There's none better.
Here's
it's
what's
good.
really bad, right? Like, my middle daughter, Cadence, she loves to make cookies, right? Like, she loves to bake and do all that stuff. And the other night, Mackenzie, my oldest daughter, made chocolate chips, and I'm on this carnivore thing, you know, and all I'm doing is smelling chocolate chip through the whole house, and I'm like, God, why are you doing this? But you know, luckily enough for me, my middle daughter Cadence made browned butter. Have you ever had that frozen?
Nope.
Brown butter, and then she put a little bit of vanilla inside the butter with a little bit of cinnamon, mixed it all up, and then topped it with salt. It's perfect. It's like I have never got into butter as much as I am right now.
Just weird level butter fan. Like,
Yeah, and I'm not talking. What you pushed the wrong button.
I know it.
Just tap. There you go.
There we go.
The differences in butter quality is crazy. I can honestly tell you that right now.
Yeah, you can get into butter like you can get into whiskey.
Absolutely, you
Yeah,
can. Yes.
mouthfeels and flavors and like,
Yeah,
yeah,
like-
you can. Saltiness.
That's
yeah,
funny.
You
the
don't
whole deal.
cook with butter?
I don't cook.
Serious?
I grill. That's it.
But do you smoke?
So the way to finish
So you
a good,
grill, but you don't smoke?
It's a simple man.
You know the way
Like
to finish
simple food.
the way to
I dig
finish a
it.
good steak is to put butter on it.
Absolutely. A
Baste
good
it.
quality butter.
Get that little
Yeah.
tilt. Get the little.
Oh, no. You
Get
straight
out
up slice like 2 tablespoons and you
Yeah,
put
put it
that.
in there.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
then
you
after it
lay
melts,
it
you
on
just
the
put it back.
steak.
Salt and pepper.
Like after you
and-
plate it, you lay that
Oh
right
yeah,
on the
that's the next step. I'm talking. Well, that shit's still cooking. Give her the what first.
Yeah.
Do you think this is fair chase?
No.
If you're considering that with this,
I better be a mile and a half away.
You're not
D.
chasing nothing. You realize that the shock wave as this
Oh,
passes
yeah.
you can kill you?
Could you imagine
Yeah.
sitting there and listening
Like
to it
sub
go past your
1,500
head?
yards, when this round passes your head about this close, the
yeah.
shock wave will kill you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you've got a big target.
Oh yeah.
You better have.
When they put a 50 cal anything, single shot,
Yeah.
multi-shot,
Yeah. Can
God
you
forbid
imagine?
machine gun, it's called a force multiplier
Yeah.
because these things change the whole game.
Well, you probably know all about this, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. These things are awesome. You know how many rounds of this I've shot in my life? It makes me happy just holding one of these again. I wish they weren't $6 a round or whatever they are now, but
Yeah.
my God. Have you shot one of these? I'm sure
Oh,
you have.
absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I never have.
It made my
I'd
hat
love
go,
to.
whoop.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'd love to be able to shoot one. I never have.
Oh, they're so much fun. Like,
Really?
you got to pay money for them.
Oh yeah.
But if I was going to buy a fun gun, hands down, 50 cal,
That'd be it.
bolt action, number one.
That'd be your pavement princess.
That'd be the gun I buy just for giggles.
Yeah.
Number two would be a saw.
Really?
Yeah. If you've ever fired a 223, it's like the BB gun of machine guns, dude.
Really?
Oh my God, it's so much fun.
Huh.
Yeah, it's wild.
Rich is over here like. Yeah.
So is that the, what do they call it? The Eagle?
No, that's a 50
cal.
BMG.
What is it?
This is a 50 BMG. What you're thinking is a Desert Eagle
Desert
50
Eagle.
cal.
Correct.
50 cal.
Same diameter bullet, smaller bullet though.
Yes.
So it would be about this big,
And it's a pistol round.
and it'd be
Right,
chopped on the
I was
nose.
there when I
So
was-
it'd be more of a blunt nose.
right.
And then this casing would be the same, but it'd only be about that long. So,
The thing was so loud.
yeah.
oh yeah. I mean,
Imagine what that is.
And I was
it's a hand
standing
grenade
way back.
in a barrel.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got a baby eagle, and it's a Desert Eagle, but it's 40 cal.
You can
Oh,
actually
gotcha.
feel it after they shot it.
Yeah, the shockwave.
And I was way back from them. I'm
I have a
like, holy
picture-
cow.
Laying prone in a desert flight suit, so it's a onesie. and I'm laying prone in the sand in Afghanistan behind a bolt action 50, and I touch the round off, and they hit the camera shutter perfect.
Oh, really?
So as the shockwave jumped all the dirt around me about 1.5 feet off the ground, there's a perfect picture of that exact
That's awesome.
moment, and you can see the shockwave and the ripples of my onesie.
Oh, really?
And the dirt is all stood up around me, and there's just a little bit of blast coming out, like just the tail end of the flash coming out of the muzzle brake off the end of the rifle.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's a perfect picture.
So, Dean, do you happen to have said gun?
No, my son-in-law has.
Oh, Will.
Yeah, Will.
Oh, okay.
And you use
He has
it
a
for
50
what?
BMG.
It's only for fun.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean,
You could hit an elephant with that.
or tank.
Yeah. Yeah. Or a combat situation.
That's what I was wondering. They use
If
it
you
for-
shot an elk with that, it would most likely split it in half.
So here's the
Or
crazy
very
thing.
close to it. It would destroy everything within
But if you shot him
12
out
inches
like
of
at
impact.
4,000 yards, then
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
it would slow down to about like a 30-06 when it hit it.
I want to say the longest confirmed kill on a man with a 50 is like 2,400 meters or something like that on a man target. So you're talking 2 foot square, pretty much.
So, do you want to know what's really crazy? You look at this shell, right? And what is smaller, like drastically smaller, that gets shot at a way lesser feet per second that can pierce armor? Like a plate.
Oh, like a 308 round?
Nope. Think completely out of the box. This will
12
get you.
gauge flechette?
Nope. Way out of the box. Not even a firearm.
338 Lapua.
Oh,
Nope.
an arrow?
Yep.
Yeah.
With a broadhead.
Yeah.
Will pierce armor every time. Isn't that crazy? A bow and arrow. Somebody with a compound bow right through armor.
What
every
level
time.
plate, though? Do you know?
That
I'd have
I'm
to look
aware of
into
it
that.
was level 2.
Okay, yeah. So your high power rifles would punch that as well. That's a knife and
So
pistol
you're
plate.
talking, what do you mean level 2 plate?
So it's the energy that a
836?
plate can withstand. Because they'll have plates that are just, knives and like
Yeah.
maybe like a 38 special.
Right.
Wouldn't punch it, That'd be like a level 1 plate. It's just essentially like skin protection.
Yep.
It's a step above leather, right? All the way up to, I think, level 4 is the highest. I could be wrong there as far as plates go. But a level 4 would be like 308s. It would
Yeah.
stop a 308.
Yeah.
And then there's also a reference to how many of that round it
Yeah.
can stop before one pierces. So there's another measurement there.
So if you
like,
look at that, right, like a 308 is still way more blunt than a
We
broadhead.
have 308 in there.
Yep.
I don't have a broadhead with me.
I don't either.
So, but you think about this, right? Like if you do a single blade, double beveled broadhead, right? Like that's just all one unit. It's all one thing. It's not like you're like
One of those that open up,
No, it's not one of those.
mechanical or whatever.
It's
you
not
call
a
it.
mechanical. This is a straight, and they're actually like $300 or $100 for 3 broadheads. They're very expensive broadheads, but they will pierce through whatever kind of metal you send them through. But that's the crazy part is like nobody ever thinks that a bow and arrow that was primitive, right?
Picking every
Just
one
got off
but
on a
the
little
river.
tangent there.
The last
Sorry.
one you grab.
Do you have it right there? That's why.
Oh,
I was
is
like, I'm pretty sure I already sent it out. Because I'm looking there, I'm like, I don't see it. Yeah, that's
You
the
can-
308.
you can see that?
I did the 223, the 308, and the 50 cal. I put
Yeah.
them all out.
So the 308, yeah, exactly. But it's a blunt tip. Blunt tip. And you're talking about a broadhead that is designed to pierce and crack bone. That's going to go straight through steel. Or a Kevlar helmet, or whatever the case may be.
That'd be a bad day.
That would be a bad day. But think about that. How many archery hunters are there in the world? Or in the country, I should say.
Somebody probably knows that number,
Only
but
quite
I
there's
don't
a pile
know.
of them.
There's a lot of them.
Yep.
And they all have the ability to pierce whatever you got on. Even with a mechanical. Like if that mechanical
Yeah.
don't open, I promise you that bone breaker in the front is going to pierce right through that.
I mean, even if just a stick, like a field tip,
Yeah,
punctures into you, all you gotta do is poke a hole in your heart.
you're done. Yeah, or your lung.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that crazy to stop and think about though? Like
Yeah.
we're all sitting here talking about bullets.
Now I want to test that. That sounds fun as hell. I'm gonna call up some buddies and see if they got some expired plates.
There you go.
Be like, hey guys.
I have the broadheads.
Yeah, me too. I got some arrows. I gotta test this. Fire these things at 70 pounds. I want to see what distance and what level.
And on the next couple of podcasts, I do want to get out to the range. And there won't be no whiskey involved. It'll be just, we'll do Bibles and then we'll go straight to shooting. If everybody else is up for that, of course.
Yeah.
I'll watch.
Speaking of shooting,
You're not going to shoot?
I don't think so.
What if it was a bow and arrow?
I don't know how.
It's not like,
That ain't.
that's no excuse.
I got a kid's bow.
You got a bunch of teachers around you.
All right.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can't shoot my bow because I got 33-inch draw length, so.
You can shoot it. You'll just never find the release. You're holding 80 pounds the whole time. There'll be 3 feet of arrow sticking out the front of the bow.
Yep.
We'll
Yeah.
see when it comes around.
Yeah.
If I'll shoot.
So I got that suppressor from YHM.
Yeah, how's that
Company's
working out?
testing. Excuse me. I put 600 rounds through it yesterday.
Yeah.
What? 600?
Yeah. So, YO Arms is
A
the
lot.
manufacturing company that I
Yeah.
have.
You have a
Yeah.
Gatling gun? You put it on the end of your Gatling gun?
No. It's our base model M4, essentially, is what it is. So,
It's a lot of
Um,
rounds.
yep. It's
That ain't nothing
5.56.
for a torture test, though.
Yep. With a YHM suppressor. And it's their, I want to say it's their Quantum.
Now, where is that? Where is YHM made? Do you know? I'm
Yankee
sorry, I
Hill-
didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah,
bro.
forgive me. It's a new thing for us, so I don't have a lot of it committed to memory. Damn, I should have been better prepared. But
So is this one through one
Yankee
of
Hill
your light guns?
Manufacturing.
Through one of your AR guns?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So Yankee Hill Manufacturing, I believe. Nope, not gonna say that. That's probably wrong. I don't know exactly. Stateside, but I don't know exactly where.
Okay.
So Yankee Hill,
You don't know what state?
wherever Yankee Hill is.
Yeah.
So we got a couple demo models ordered, and my 5.56 was the first to come in. So I asked Vince, because I do more of the sales and ballistics and function
Okay.
of the
Yeah.
guns, and Vince is my reference for all things tech.
Yep.
He's really good with that stuff. So I said, all right, man, what do you want to see? And he's like, well, I've already seen it new. So I want to see it after 30 rounds. I want to see it after 1,000 rounds. And I was like, deal.
Yeah.
So we got through 600 rounds before the neighbors said, hey, if you don't mind, kids are sleeping. We were like, okay, done. So then tonight we're doing this, and then probably Saturday or Sunday, I'll go put another probably 400 or 500 rounds through it.
Yep.
But we did point of impact shift. We did.
Did you see any variation?
Yep.
Did you?
Yeah. So at 130 yards, so that rifle zeroed at 100, and I was shooting probably just barely under 1 MOA at 100. And
Now, hold on. Explain what MOA is.
so minute of angle. So it's a reference to how tight your shot groups are at any distance. And it's all based on angular, so it's consistent all the way out, no matter
Okay.
how far you're going. So the cheap, easy way to say it is at 100 yards, it's approximately 1 inch for 1 minute of angle.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like when you buy a rifle and they say it's a sub-MOA gun, they mean that it's going to shoot at 100 yards less than 1 inch groups.
Yeah.
So if you do a 3 or a 5 shot group, it's going to be within an inch diameter circle,
Right.
all the shots. So I was shooting a little bit smaller than that with that rifle prior to the suppressor. And I put the suppressor on there, and I lost about probably 1.5 inches low and left on my point of impact.
Okay.
So in my world, no big deal.
Yeah.
That's easy to adjust for. So reset my scope, and went through. I did. I know the special teams do. I forget what they call it, but it's like they do a test cycle. It's like 1 round per second for 30 rounds. Then it's 2 rounds a second for 30 rounds. And then I think it goes back to 1 round a second for 30 rounds. And then I want to say they do like a mag dump and then 1 round a second for 30. And it's like this whole cycle they go through to pretty much try and like overheat the thing and like see if you get a baffle strike, see if you get warping, see if the damn thing melts and it just starts blowing sparks out the end, right? I didn't quite go that route, but I got pretty darn close. So I did essentially like a 1 round per second for 30 rounds, 2 rounds a second for 60 rounds. Then I did 1 round a second for 60 rounds because I have a couple 60 round drum mags.
So yeah, very technical.
Yeah, so I did a couple of those mags and my suppressor wrap was smoking.
Ooh.
So I was like, perfect. Yeah. So I was doing 2 things in this whole deal. One, I'm testing that suppressor to see just kind of what it does, you know, like not a full misery test, but
pretty close.
You know, I want to get it hot. I want to run some rounds through it, not clean it, kind of mistreat it a little bit, see how it does, you know. And I went through probably about 550-ish rounds, and then I was like, all right, let's go back and see what it does for precision. Now, keep in mind, I also wanted to, I call it my truck gun because it's a budget scope on one of our base model rifles. So it's not Gucci, it doesn't have a lot of really expensive furniture on it, doesn't have a high-end trigger, it's not a match grade barrel, it's just our base model rifle if you want something for the truck or something to get into ARs or something to just go out and plink for a decent price, like that's what we're shooting. So I was like, all right, cool. I keep all my weapons clean when they're in the case. Even my firearms, even my shotguns, even my ARs. I clean them and I put them away. So my firearms are all clean and oiled when I start.
Can I stop you real quick? Your base model gun is a cost of what? So everybody knows.
It's about $600. It's pretty much like if you wanted to go buy a 5.56 off the shelf for a low end price.
Right.
It's.
I just wanted to kind of throw that out there
fair.
so everybody's like,
that's a good reference.
Well, what?
Yeah.
What?
We've built them all the way up to full crazy, but that's kind of our base model. Is it's your market competitor.
Yeah.
So it's your black labeled Jack Daniels.
Okay. Perfect.
So I didn't clean this thing. I didn't add lubrication. Nothing.
Yeah.
I started shooting the rifle, and I just kept shooting all the way through the whole damn test. And about 550 rounds, I was like, I let it cool all the way down right before the 500 round mark, or at the 500 round mark. Let it cool all the way down. And then I think I put, maybe it was a 60 round drum through it, so 560 rounds.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, let's go back to precision. So it's not super precision, it's 130 yards. But I was shooting aim small, miss small kind of targeted, right? So I was like, it's probably throwing flyers by now between the dirty and the mess and, you know, the heat, if there was any heat buildup. And, you know, I'd let it cool down 60 rounds prior, so it wasn't that hot. And that damn thing, plink, 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 just hit. And I was probably, and I'm standing, so I'm not hitting the same damn spot every time. You know, I'm not that good, but I mean, I was probably hitting 2-inch square at 130, standing freehand, still after all those rounds and all that misery. So I was like, that's perfectly fine in my book. Yeah. So I'll finish out doing all the rounds, and then we've got an ultrasonic cleaner, but we're going to tear it all apart, the rifle and the suppressor, tear it all apart and see how it looks and see where it wore and see where it built up and see what might be starting to show wear. You know, I mean, it's not going to wear it out with that fewer rounds, but yeah. So that'll be pretty neat. I'm pretty excited about that. One, it's fun to shoot that many rounds. And two, it's pretty neat that it's something you built and it's, you know, holding up that well. So
how long does it take to shoot 600 rounds? Sounds like a lot.
Honestly, it's not that long.
Yeah, the only reason we had to stop is because it was too hot.
move.
Yeah, it got too hot. That was the only reason we had to stop. I didn't want to light anything on fire. The magazines are composite plastic, and they started getting soft.
What mags do you use?
Magpul.
Okay, I kind of wondered about Magpul. I didn't know if you...
Magpul P-Mags, it's pretty much like an industry standard.
Yeah, well,
So, yeah. I like them.
I gotta
They're
get
good quality
going
stuff.
soon.
They work. So, yeah, that was the only reason we slowed down.
yeah.
And started making the mags soft on top. I was like,
They
I don't
make
wanna-
the drum mags as well.
Yep. Yep. They're about $150, I think.
Oh, okay.
I got a pretty good deal on mine because a fellow
Yeah.
was selling them pretty cheap, so I got a hold of them. But yeah, I mean, paying $150 for a 60-round drum mag, I wouldn't be upset about that. I mean,
No.
they work pretty nice. They're kind of annoying to load
Yeah, well, yeah.
because
I
the
can
way you got to
imagine.
ratchet them and set it in there, ratchet and set it in,
yeah.
ratchet and set it in, ratchet and set it in, so it feeds. There's probably a better way I don't know of yet, but other than that, I mean, they work great. They feed all the way through.
Yeah,
You know,
nice.
usually your higher capacity mags, they start to fail your feed.
Yeah.
They'll either be too high a pressure or too low a pressure at the end or something, you know, and they'll be wonky, but these things just keep feeding. I mean, they just keep
Nice.
feeding and firing. So
Well,
yeah, that's lots of fun.
who's going to pray us out tonight? I guess relevant to Jared.
I can do it. I thank you, Father, for the gathering, the presence of these fine men and their wisdom that they bring to the table, their opportunities and their words, their hearts and their love. I thank you, Father, for having Dean be able to guide us in our morning prayers. It's always a bright spot to start the day with. I thank you, Father, for the opportunity to be able to share your grace both publicly and in our small groups. I thank you, Father, for the knowledge and wisdom that comes from reading your word and the way it may settle. I thank you, Father, for us being able to get home safe, for our families, for the grace you keep around us, and the futures that you have for us before us. In the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Amen.